going to speak today about making our foods more nutrient dense. It's definitely something that I speak about, I think, every week. And really what the meaning of that is to try to add nutrients to really everything that we're eating. Something I always say is we don't really want to take things out of our diet if we enjoy them, right? It's important to be able to indulge. So people who love pizza, people who love pasta, I'm not saying we should eat it every single day because we definitely shouldn't. And I'm saying like white pasta, right? Some people just don't love the whole grain pastas. The whole grain pastas are really great. Some people just don't love the texture, the taste. But when we do have these and when we do feel we want to indulge, we do feel like, oh, this is something we want to do and have, the best thing that we can do is make them a little bit more nutrient dense to feel a little bit better. And sometimes it is really just to make ourselves feel better about what we're eating, but it's also we are getting nutrients. So for example, if we are having pizza and we want to have 1 or 2 slices of pizza, if you want to have a slice of plain pizza, that's great. Let's have 1 slice and then let's have a salad on the side so that we may not be full after 1 slice, but we're getting some nutrients on the other side. Also adding vegetables to our pizza, adding vegetables to our pasta, adding vegetables to our eggs. Eggs may be even different on its own, a healthier, I would say, vehicle or rather base, but adding vegetables, making just that plain protein a little bit more nutrient dense. And I'm always really looking for ways to make things more nutrient dense. With sauces, I'm trying to always add something. I do with tomato sauce. I add tons of veggies. I even add chia seeds because what chia seeds do is it thickens up that sauce, but it also provides those healthy fats, omega-3 fatty acids that are actually pretty difficult to find in a lot of foods. We find them mostly in fish, sometimes eggs a little bit, and then nuts and seeds, and chia seeds being one of them. So I love adding chia seeds because it's such an easy way to just add some extra omega-3 fatty acids in there. I think something that's really important to do is think about something that we're going to make and what can we do to make it a little bit healthier. And we don't have to completely change everything about it, but what's something that we can substitute? What's something that we can add just to make things a little bit more nutrient dense.
Today I'm actually making something really simple. It's actually like roast chicken with a cauliflower mash and some vegetables. It's a basic recipe, but it's a good recipe. So I figured let me show you some of the steps. I'm going to put some gloves on because I'm going to do the chicken right now. I'm going to marinate the chicken and I'll show you what I'm marinating it with. I'm going to put some fresh garlic in there. So I'm just going to like finish chopping up this garlic a little bit more fine. I have quite a bit of chicken. And then put that in a bowl. Move that out of the way. I'm going to add some avocado oil. I have some rotisserie chicken seasoning in here. I'm going to add some of that. Some garlic. You don't have to add that. You can just keep to the basics. I used basics yesterday and it was delicious. A little bit of salt. Some onion powder. This is just like estimating. I washed my chicken this morning with lemon because I like to wash the chicken with lemon. I think it comes out really nice. And now I'm just going to grab the chicken out the fridge. I did chicken thighs and they'll go into the oven and chicken drumsticks. Let's just get rid of this so we don't contaminate anything. All right, so I'm going to put my seasoning over the top. And then I'm going to rub all that in and let it season for a little bit. I'll probably cook this one tonight. I did one earlier this morning. So I can show you at the end. And if it needs more, I can always add more. If I feel like it needs a little bit of extra seasoning.
You can always add, you can't take away.
That's my motto. My mom's always taught me that. You can always add, but never take anything away. Yeah, it probably needs like a little bit of extra. I'll dazzle that up a little bit more because there's quite a few pieces there. But for the 1 or 2 that I did, I'm going to push this to the side right now, bring my gloves and wash my hands, and then we'll go back to the mash cauliflower.
That's just a good lesson in how not to cross-contaminate too. If you're working with meat and vegetables, you want to make sure that you're washing your hands and not using the same cutting boards and stuff for that, or you're washing them in between.
Your cutting boards, your knives, you want to make sure that you're washing in between.
So there's the cauliflower mash. You see that I have done some cauliflower and a few potatoes in there because some people don't like all cauliflower. I like all cauliflower myself, but my family prefers a little bit of potato in there, so I mixed it. So we're still getting some veggies. So here's the cooked one. You see I did earlier. I'm going to just quickly drain it. I put salt in while it was cooking, but I didn't put any pepper. So I'm going to just add a little bit of pepper to that. And you can add like a little bit of avocado oil. I'm going to use a little bit. So I'm going to put a little bit of butter in there. Not a lot, just a tiny bit because it doesn't really need a lot. You're not even going to be able to tell the difference. Match the cauli. So that's my cauliflower mash. All right, so that's all done. So we have the chicken done, that done. Also, I used frozen vegetables this morning and I used fresh carrots. I roasted the carrots and I'm going to show you everything I did. Okay, so I have the roasted chicken here, the roasted carrots. This is my frozen veg. Honestly, this is so good. And you can even chuck it in rice. It's really nice. Like you make a little vegetable rice. It's terrific. I had avocado and beets, so I just made an avocado and beets for the sides. I just did a little bit of Greek yogurt with a little granola. So you have a full meal here. You know,
That is
like
beautiful.
So good.
my water of the week is orange and basil.
Gorgeous. A shout out for frozen vegetables too. Just as healthy. Wonderful to
Yeah.
have on
Yeah.
hand.
And they really are. I'm telling you, these taste so good. And like, if you're just doing a white rice, you want to like jazz them up, you can scramble an egg and put a few.
Love that. They really are just as healthy. They're frozen at peak ripeness. So you really get pretty much all of the nutrients. I'm not going to say 100%, but like very close.
Real close.
And they're way more affordable and we can keep them for a long time. And it's really a great option. My son went apple picking this weekend, so we have a lot of extra apples. I always like to look to see what we have in my fridge, what I'm going to get rid of, what's going bad, and try to use that in my recipes. And I really do stick to that a lot. So I'm going to make a kale, apple, and delicata squash, which is a type of winter squash salad. I pretty much have everything prepared, and I'm just going to build a salad with you. So the first thing I did is I put my kale into a bowl. And kale, it's a pretty rough green, so you really want to massage your kale with your dressing ahead of time to soften it a bit. So that's what I did. 2 tablespoons of olive oil and 3 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice and some salt. I whisked that together and I massaged my kale with that, and use the term massage, which sounds funny, but it's really the best way to explain what we're actually doing there.
It's actually really fun.
Like it's therapeutic almost. So we have my kale here. You want to let that sit for like 10 minutes or so, at least 10 minutes, just because it is going to help soften it up a bit. That's one thing about kale, is it's going to taste better when it's massaged and when it's sitting in its dressing for a while. But the good thing about that is it does last for like a bunch of hours. I wouldn't say like 24 hours, but like if you're having guests over and you want to dress early, you can. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put some dates. So I took about like 6 dates. These had pits in them, so that's why I cut them a little bit smaller, but you can put full dates if you want in there. So I'm going to put my dates there so you guys can see it better. When I build a salad, I like to put everything and make it nice. And then I take my fork and I mush it all together. But my thing is to put everything in little corners and make it pretty. So we have my dates there. The next thing I have is my delicata squash, which is definitely one of my favorite squashes. I cut it very thin. I roasted it on 115 degrees because that's really going to roast it nicely. I put a little bit of maple syrup and olive oil on here. It's just definitely going to kind of sweeten that up a bit. So we're going to put my squash there. Squash is so delicious and there's so many great nutrients in there, a ton of fiber, and especially about delicata squash, which I love, you can eat the skin. So you really keep some of that fiber in there, which is great. My next thing is my apples. So I slice them pretty thin. You can slice them however thick or thin you want. So I'm going to put those out there. You can cut them smaller if that's going to be easier for you to eat. You don't have to keep it super big. You can definitely make them into chunks, something that's going to be a little bit easier to eat with a fork. So we have that there. And then the last thing before I sprinkle some cheese on there is going to be, I toasted some almonds. So I had
nice
slivered almonds and I just toasted them. No olive oil. You just put it on a pan and you kind of just stir them around, let them toast a bit. So I'm going to sprinkle some of that in the middle there. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I have some Parmesan and I'm going to just grate that over there. This is a really colorful, full meal. It has tons of great nutrients in there. Like we have protein, we have healthy carbs, we have healthy fats, and it smells so delicious and is delicious. And it's a really good meal. I happen to really love apples and I love the combination also of apples and Parmesan cheese. It's really combination. And this whole thing is just like a really good, flavorful combined salad. So
I think a lot of times when we're thinking about eating healthier, we're thinking, oh, we have to subtract stuff. And I think this idea of added nutrition is so important. It's like, what can I add to this to actually make it healthier?